These 5 red flags be messing y'all up and y'all end up in these crazy relationships. You got it. Today we are talking about the top 5 red flags that are often ignored. Go ahead and cue my theme music. Welcome to Untoxify Your Relationship. Here we will talk about all things healthy and how to get that toxic mess out of you and your partnership. I'm your host, Melissa Webb, a practicing licensed mental health therapist with 10 years experience. All right, let's go ahead and hop into it. What's up, y'all? So a lot of the topic today came from a sermon I heard by Pastor Robert Madu. He is the pastor at Social Dallas. Shout out to Social Dallas. If I lived in Dallas, I would definitely be a member. Robert Madu is like my big brother in my head, so I be listening when he be preaching. And right now he's in a relationship series, and it's really good. So yeah, I need to go and listen to it. It's called SOS. And he talked about some of these red flags last week, so I stole a couple of them from them. And so that's kind of like where this topic came from. And so when I was listening to the sermon, it made me think of people who, I've seen one-on-one or in coaching or even in therapy. And I often see people ignore these red flags, and I have to point it out to them. And most of the time, the people are like, really? Is that a red flag? Because when I asked that person about it, and they explained it and it made perfect sense, and I'm just like, so are you gonna listen to them or are you gonna listen to me, the expert? Because I think I know what I'm talking about, and I see enough of y'all to know what red flags are, and you about to walk into a trap. And lo and behold, a month or two later, like, girl, he was crazy or she was crazy. And I'm like, yeah, I told you that. When are you going to listen to me? It's what you pay me for. You pay me to listen to me, but then you do your own thing. So I say all that to say, one, listen to wise counsel, because at the end of the day, I think I know what I'm talking about. And two, don't be so blinded by love that you can't make a sober decision about someone, because at the end of the day, these people overlook the red flags because I love him or I love her, or they're everything I ever wanted, when they're literally a walking red flag. It's almost like you walking into the carnival. It's like, oh, red flags. I want to go. I want to see what the carnival's about. And it's like, no, let's not do that. Let's really slow down and really understand what we're hopping into before we hop into it. So I'm about to put y'all on game today. We are going to go over 5 red flags that people ignore, and we're going to talk about how to spot them. So let's go ahead and hop right into it. So the first one is, if the person that you're talking to or dating or whatever, if they struggle to keep friends or they don't have any friends, that's a red flag. What that tells me about the person is that they do not know how to steward a relationship, because at the end of the day, you're going to have at least one good friend that you talk to. And if you don't, to me, I'm like, ooh, so do you not know how to be healthy in a relationship? And the reason why they don't know how to steward a relationship is because they may struggle with communication. They also may struggle with managing their emotions. They also may struggle to handle conflict. And they may really like being in isolation, because when they're in isolation, they don't have to deal with people. And the reason why they want to be in isolation and not deal with people is because relationships are mirrors. When we're in relationships literally reflect what's good and what's bad about us. I had to learn that when in many of my relationships, I learned that I was an anxious attached person. And I was like, ooh, girl, you toxic, girl. Let's get that together. So I had to heal myself, go to therapy, drink my water, go exercise, all the things. And now I'm happy to say that I am very secure in my relationships. So when we're in these relationships, what you need to work on would definitely come up. And not being around people means you don't have to be accountable, or you don't have to go out here or fix or heal yourself. And we call that avoidance and denial. So anytime someone says like they struggle to keep friendships or they don't have friends, I would question that. I'd be like, so what's up with you? Right? At the end of the day, it's going to come out, because the honeymoon phase is just that. It's a honeymoon. The honeymoon always ends. And then you start to put pieces of the puzzle together like, oh, That's why you ain't got no friends, because you're a horrible person. Sorry to say it, but that is a real thing. So anytime someone says they don't have friends, they struggle to keep friends, run for your freaking life. Also, to add to that point, oftentimes people like this, they like to blame the other person or play the victim, and they will project their issues on you. And that's why they can't keep a relationship. You can really point these people out because they blame others for the end of the relationships. They claim they did nothing wrong. Anytime someone tell you, I ain't do nothing wrong in that relationship, I don't even know why they not my friend, child, run. Now, I will say this. I've had a situation where someone literally dropped me as a friend, but it was me and like 4 other people. We all had the same experience. So that's a little different versus like you playing victim or that other person playing as a victim, and they're just like, yeah, no one likes me. Everybody hate me just because I eat worms. Like, what are we doing? Like, you just don't know how to keep a friendship because, again, you don't know how to work in relationships. And lastly, they are always the victim in their story. So they always are talking about how someone did them wrong and how someone did this to them and how they felt so sad and how, it's like bring out the violins, the tiny violin, and start playing for me, because at this point, like, what did you do in this relationship? And to be honest, people like this are very draining. Because when they do attach to you, they're going to drain the life out of you. They're going to suck it dry. And you're going to always be giving. And they will never try to fill your cup up. So these people definitely run for the hills. Now, 2 and 3 I put together because I didn't realize how similar they were. So 2 is how they treat their family and friends. Because how they treat them will definitely let you know if it's a red flag or not. And number 3 is how they treat people in customer service or in the service industry, because how they treat those people will also let you know if they're a walking red flag or not. So for 2 and 3, this goes back to number 1, because how they treat other people will determine how they will treat you. So again, how they treat their family and friends, if they're rude, if they're mean, if they're just downright nasty and just, more than likely, they're going to do the same thing to you. For number 3, about how they treat people in customer service, it really goes back to humility, right? Because these people are serving you. And when someone serves you, that is submission on their part. Yes, they have a job. Yes, they're just doing their job. And have y'all ever worked in customer service? Because if you haven't, if you have not gotten cussed out at least one good time, you have to be humble in those positions. And you got to be like, who, child, Jesus, help me to not cuss this person out today. It takes a lot of strength. It takes a lot of humility to be in customer service. So when someone treats someone who's serving them wrong, I got questions. I'm like, why are you doing this? Like, what's going on? So like, it really goes back to like, how do that person treat people who are serving them? Because how they treat the people who serving them, they definitely gonna do the same thing to you. So when you're serving this person who's a walking red flag in your relationship, they gonna treat you the same way. So I dated a person who we went out to dinner, lunch, something. We were at a restaurant, and he literally treated the waiter like trash. And I was like, the waiter didn't do nothing. Might have brought out the wrong meal, mistake, whatever. Just say, hey, this is wrong. Can we do something different? No, he raised hell, like loud. I was so embarrassed, like going in on this waiter. And I was like, he is so rude to him. Later on, it didn't click, like, girl, he do the same thing to you. So like, this is what people do. So they're treating people like trash who serve them. When you serve them and you do something wrong, they're going to treat you like trash too. So let's run so fast from these people because, again, these people are trash. Number 4, how they respond to taking accountability. This will definitely let you know if they are a walking red flag or not. And a lot of times when people cannot take accountability, responsibility, run, because they will never apologize to you, and you will always be the person who done something wrong. So if they deflect, or they blame you, they gaslight you, they get defensive, or they make excuses, that's a huge red flag when it comes to you pointing out, hey, you did XYZ and that made me feel ABC, right? And they're like, I mean, but you did this, and I mean, so what they got to do with me? What? Like, what are we doing? So that's a huge red flag. Someone who cannot take accountability will not apologize, and they will often hold grudges. Why? Because this person is prideful at the end of the day. Pride is definitely in their hearts. So Proverbs 16 and 18, because y'all know I'm not going to do an episode without throwing a Bible verse in there. Pride goes before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. The root of pride is low self-esteem. You will notice the people who are prideful, the people who are stubborn, the people who struggle to take accountability and blame other people. It's usually because they got a problem with themselves. Yep, I said it. They have a problem with themselves, and they struggle when it comes to loving themselves. And when you can't love yourself, it's really hard to love someone else. And people are getting with these people like, oh, just love me, love me. They just like, they don't want to say this, but they can't, because they don't even know how to love themselves. They don't know how to love themselves properly to give somebody else love. So how can you expect for them to love you when they don't even love themselves? Like, run for the hills when these people come out, because they will not love you properly. They are counterfeits. Stop it. So in these relationships, if you get with this person who can't take accountability, you will not feel seen, you will not feel heard, and you will end up taking their responsibility to fix the issue that's not your fault. And that's super unhealthy. So what I'm saying is, whenever they don't take responsibility for, you will end up taking responsibility. And then you be like, well, let me help him. I got to help him see, or help her see, like, what's going on. So then you end up doing all this extra work just to feel seen and heard. And they can care less, because they don't even know how to respond to you, because one, their emotional intelligence is low, and two, they don't even know how to love. At the end of the day, they have zero knowledge of how to love you properly. So you trying to explain it to them, it's not going to work. The only way they can help that is if they go to therapy and get the proper help and care that they need from a professional. If you ain't no professional, even if you are a professional, that is not your job to fix your partner. Period. Don't do it. Stop it. Run. Just run. Just go find someone who can love you properly, because that's ghetto. All right. And number 5, how they talk about their ex. Because how they talk about their ex matters. If they, acknowledge that, I did something wrong in a relationship. My ex did something wrong, but overall they were a good person and we just didn't work out. Okay, cool. But if they come out here boxing and talking about their ex like they are Mike Tyson, and they out here just bloop, 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 and just giving them blow after blow after blow, then yeah, we got a problem. We all have exes, right? We all have that ex who done us dirty. We all have that ex who we just didn't work out. But how you talk about them matters. So if the story is a one-sided story, either it's all your current partner's fault or it's all the ex fault, then that's a red flag. Because at the end of the day, I feel that it takes two to tangle in a relationship. And most relationships are not one-sided. And I'm not counting relationships that have abuse or neglect or anything like that, because at the end of the day, that is a totally different story. And I'm not even talking about those people. By the way, if you are in an abusive relationship, I actually have an episode that can help you get out. I would definitely put that in the show notes. However, space. I'm not talking about abusive relationships. I'm talking about just two people come together and there's no physical, sexual abuse, even emotional abuse. I know that can be hard too. But, most relationships are not one-sided. Sometimes there's things that both people do, and we deal with them accordingly. But, always just blaming the ex, like they did this, they did that. I mean, I cheated, but only reason why I cheated because they cheated. It's just like, what are we doing? So what really happened in the relationship? It's okay just to say it didn't work out and we just not made for each other. Okay, cool. I knew I was with a person who talked bad about their ex, and was just like, we just didn't work out, but was still holding on this grudge to the ex. And I was like, yo, it's been like 20 years. Like, why are you still holding this grudge on this girl? And that's a whole nother story for another day. However, yeah, let's just leave that alone. There has to be some accountability when it comes to talking about your ex, right? Like what did you do in this relationship? What did you contribute to this relationship that also may have been his downfall? Because at the end of the day, you could just say, hey, my accountability is I picked the wrong person because I ignored the red flags. Cool. That sounds great. I was this person. I would tell people like, yeah, all the dudes I dated, they were just trash. They're like, what you do? I ain't do nothing. I was just in a relationship. Walking red flag, this one. Yes, even the host of the show. Again, I've been changed, healed, and delivered. So I think at the end of the day, like, it matters because dudes will look at me like, so all the dudes did you dirty? When in reality, I didn't take the time to look at myself and become self-aware, and notice some patterns that I was doing in the relationships. Also, if they're trashing the ex and they can't stop talking about the ex, that usually means that they're harboring some unhealed feelings about the relationship or the person. So like every time they talk, like they always either compare you to the ex or they talking about the ex, something that the ex did. And you're just like, so what's happening? Because it seems like you either like this person still or you just got some unhealed stuff going on. And I'm confused on why they are the topic and not me because I'm the current. Again, that has happened to me too. So I have dated a couple of walking red flags and I have ignored them too. So this is for me as much as it is for you. So what these top 5 red flags, what do they all have to do with each other? Well, the first 3, they all talk about how they treat people. And the last 2 talks about how they view their world, right? When we talk about how they treat people, that really equals how they will treat you. And we talk about how they view the world, it's really talking about how they will view the relationship with you in it. So it's like, is this a healed vision or version of the world, or is this an unhealed vision or version of the world? If it's unhealed, then guess what? The relationship will always be flawed. They're going to see the relationship in these broken glasses, and everything you do is going to be bad and broken and unhealthy, right? Even though you can be the most healthy person in the relationship. If you're at a 7 for healthiness and they're at a 3 out of 10, then guess what? Your relationship will always be a 3 out of 10 because your relationship is only as healthy as the least healthiest person in the relationship. So your relationship will go nowhere. So while you're with these red flags, you're like, I'm healed, I'm this, I'm that. Then you get with a number 3, but you like 8 on the list. It's like, okay, well, your relationship is never going to go past a 3 unless they decide to go to therapy. That's a whole nother story. However, comma space, some of these people don't think they need therapy because of that pride. Again, that pride would keep them from getting the help that they need. This is also how you can tell if they are counterfeit or if they're authentic, right? If someone on the scale, if someone's looking at you from an unhealed version or an unhealed point of view, right? Then yeah, they're more than likely a counterfeit, and they gonna jack you up, set you back. You have to be back in therapy like, girl, I thought I got away from all the crazies. And it's like, nope. Nope. We're here. We're here again. So I will definitely say, you need to have discernment when you out here in these dating streets. You need to have God to be like, yeah, God, I need you to tell me who to date, because people who are walking red flags usually don't know that they are walking red flags. And they may be able to sell you a dream. And, at the end of the day, you just need to make sure God is with you while you're dating, and also have your ears open, because God could be telling you, hey, sis, or hey, bro, this ain't it. But yet you so blinded by love that you just move past all the red flags, and God's like, all right, well, I tried to tell him. So make sure that you are listening. Make sure that you are aware of God's voice and what he's telling you to do and how to move forward. And I think if you use discernment and use wise counsel, whether that's a therapist, a pastor, a best friend, someone who has wisdom, you will be all right. You can avoid these red flags. If you decide to do this on your own, Godspeed, because it's not going to end well for you. Yeah, that's it. That's the post. Thanks for listening, guys. I'm gonna link some episodes in the show notes that go with this episode. So definitely how to leave an abusive relationship will be in there, and anything else I see that I've done in the past that you all can listen to. As always, episodes drop on Monday. Tell your auntie, uncle, and cousin and them about the show. Again, shout out to everybody who is listening. I got listeners in Australia, y'all. I'm like, come on, Australia. I would love to visit, but that plane ride is very long. So one day when I have the coins, I will go to Australia. But thank you all for listening. I really do appreciate it. Go ahead and leave a comment. Leave some stars. I know on Apple and Spotify, you can rate the show. Rate the show. Let me know how I'm doing. Yeah, as always, stay classy, stay non-toxic, and I will see y'all next time. Peace. Thank you for listening. Go ahead and share this episode with your family and friends. Thank you, and see you next time.